Woo! Right. Bear with, friends. I'm just getting set up. Just testing stuff. Sorry, been a little while since we last did one of these, because I'm useless. But give me a minute. Just need to make sure it's all working. Oopsie daisy. Totally just messed that up. Let's do that again. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, oh, hang on. Audacity won't record the audio. I knew it was too much to ask for it to work straight off the bat. Hang on, we'll have to fiddle with it. Test, 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 test. Oh, no, that's better. No, it is recording. I just had the recording volume turned down. Okay, so we've got that sorted out there. And we've got the stream is more or less working, which is good. We have yet to know whether or not the camera will actually work, of course. We'll find out when we have to press that button. I've got the book there. I've turned off the heating so that there's going to be no radiator sounds. I've stopped my laundry, so there's going to be no washing machine sounds. We have hopefully not got any fireworks for another few hours at least. I think we're more or less there. Oh, you think it's quiet on the stream? I guess I can turn up the stream volume. I find it very strange how it varies from time to time. I thought YouTube normalized these things. Oh well, I can turn up the volume of the stream. I wasn't messing with that. Test, 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 test. I mean, that'll probably do. Anyway, right. No, now I'm going to... See, now when I go loud, I'm going to reach the clipping bit. No, let's put it back to how it was. It's fine. Just turn up your volume if I'm quiet. I'm sure it'll be all right. Right. Okie doke. Let's get started, I think. Hang on. Right. Let's do it. Okay. Right. Now is the time. Here we are. Hello, Woo! There we go. The camera did work. I'm delighted. I thought it wouldn't. Hello. Welcome to the stream, one and all. I hope you're all doing okay. I am here. Hello. Sorry, been a month or so since the last one. Again, apologies for that. I got very busy with work, as per. However, I was talking about this on Discord yesterday. My schedule should... I always say this on streams. It's like, oh, now I was going to start doing more, and then I never do. But, like, schedule and stuff is changing at the moment and everything. I'm hoping I should have a little bit more time to do sort of fun things, sort of, in the over the next few months, because I'm coming up for a little bit of a kind of gap with work stuff, which is good. So I should have a bit more. Well, I mean, it's good, and it's good in various ways. It's good. One of the big benefits of it is, I should have a little bit more time for this sort of fun freelance stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But the positive of that is that I will be next month, kind of thing, moving back to my mum's house for a bit, which will mean Gray will be around. So we'll have Gray content, and that will be lovely. So that's something nice and happy to look forward to. She will co-star on streams, and there'll be lots of pictures and things, and that will all be very nice. Anyway, so the gist of today's stream is we are going to try and record some more chapters of Lonely Worlds, which is the book What I Wrote, for the audiobook. We are 8 chapters in. We're on to there are 7 chapters in. We're on to chapter 8 to record out of 11. So there are 4 chapters left to do. 8, 9, 10, 11. There you go. That math checks out. 4 chapters left to do. It's possible we might get through them today. It's possible we might not, depending on how I get on. Whether I have to do a lot of retakes or what, we'll see. But we're not going to rush. I'll do as many as I reasonably can, and then we'll see where we get to from there. And we'll have to stop when fireworks start going off outside, because it's the 6th of November. 5th of November, at least in the UK, we have fireworks night, and people tend to do fireworks all around this kind of time. So I was going to do a stream yesterday evening, and then someone pointed out, it's fireworks night, is that the best idea? And I thought, oh no, that's not going to work at all, is it? So we'll go until the fireworks get too bad, and then we'll stop, and then maybe we'll finish off at the weekend. Not at the weekend, but maybe we'll finish off like tomorrow or next week or something. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to do our best and see where we get to. Anyway, hello people in the chat. That is great news, Jasper. Good for you, Jasper. Jasper Hayes in the chat has just finished testing their first version of, or getting close to finishing their first version of their follower mod, which will just be simple commands with custom lines. That's really cool, Jasper. I'm assuming you mean for Skyrim. That's super awesome. I hope you, best of luck with it. That's really cool. Well done. Stonks is very keen to know where I've been. Well, I've just sort of explained that. I've been working. Work stuff's going to be very busy. You want to know when you'll get Lucian the Dragonborn Season 2? I don't know. I'm sorry. I do really want to do it. And things keep derailing my plans. Hopefully at some point I'll get around to doing that, but it's not the sort of thing I can just say, oh yes, you'll get it on this date, because I have no way of knowing whether I'll be able to deliver or not. But it's on the list of things I would like to do, so you'll get it. Sorry, you'll get it when you get it. If/when, I mean, I would fully like to do that at some point, hopefully before I age. Hopefully before I retire from my career and end up in an old person's home somewhere. Hopefully before that point, at some point, we'll record Lucian the Dragonborn Season 2. So, hello Leo, thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed my book. That's really lovely. Usual thing I often ask with this sort of thing, I hope you don't think it's too cheeky of me. If you read my book and you enjoyed it, I would absolutely be delighted if you could possibly put a review up somewhere on Amazon or on Goodreads. If you could just write like one sentence just to say, hey, I didn't hate this. That would be really nice. It goes a long way to support independent authors like me. So that would be a really lovely thing if you felt that you could do that. But thank you so much for sharing. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. So yeah, you'll be familiar with the content of what we're recording today. But yes, so we should probably get into it, really. No point faffing around. Yeah, good to see you. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to keep the camera just sort of on me for recording this, because there's not a lot of point you looking at Audacity while I record. But quick sip of tea. I don't know whether you've seen this mug. Have I shown this on stream before? Don't know. But look, my mum got me that when I graduated. Isn't that fun? it's Dr. Joseph, actually. You know, I like that. Anyway, it's all very silly. So, yes, recording and stuff. You might notice, might not notice as well, by the way, sort of background is getting increasingly cluttered and changing because I am gradually unpacking everything. Well, gradually packing to leave. Because I'll be out of this place in a few weeks' time. So, like, everything is in various stages of being boxed up and unboxed and moved around and everything, as it's all getting a bit hectic. But I'm trying to keep this room as much as possible the same, acoustically at least, until we finish Lucian. Not Lucian, until we finish the Lonely Worlds. That's the name of the book. Until we finish recording the book. So try and keep it sort of consistent audio-wise as we go. But we'll see. Anyway, okay, first thing, I'm just going to do a little test on Audacity just to make sure that it is recording properly and that we haven't got any microphone buzz. So give me a second. That sounds like there is some microphone buzz. Sorry, apologies for any sort of noises this makes. Just need to make sure it's properly grounded. Can occasionally be a tiny bit glitchy. Let's just try again. And play it back. That sounds alright now. I think that's good. I think that's sounding good. So yeah, as I go ahead and record this, let me know if you hear any weird noises on the microphone, if you hear any kind of buzzing, background sounds, anything like that. What's that thing there? A little bit of fluff or something. Get rid of that. But yeah, any sort of background noises, or I would really appreciate any thoughts you have on my delivery. If I say anything weirdly or pronounce it weirdly, or you just think, or you think something sounded good as well. Just generally, I would love your sort of collaborative direction as I go. That really helps and makes this a lot of fun. So yeah, do feel free to chime in with thoughts as we record. But for those of you reading along, we are picking up from chapter 8. So we're halfway through the adventure on the Ice World. If you'd like to buy a copy of the book yourself, you'll see a link in the description down below to grab it on Amazon. As I say, it's called Lonely Worlds. So we're halfway through the sort of adventure on the Ice World with Ian and co. being chased by the monsters. And yeah, we're going to go kind of from here. So... little bit of a warm-up. Hello, 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 hello. Too far to my car. Too far to my car. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, 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 hello. Wow, wow, wow. Okie dokie. Right. We're getting there. Little sippy of the water. Okay, so... first line in this chapter is an Ian line. Ian is a centaur who we decided in our last stream speaks with a northern accent, which is always a challenge for me, not being northern, but let's see if we can get back into it. Here, bagum. Oh, my name's Ian. Oh, get some gravy. Nice cup of gravy. Lovely. Front north. Okay, get down pit. Okay, right. If you two are going to do anything, now would be a good time. Oh, it's good. You got to be careful not to lean too much into the farmer kind of thing. You don't want to end up like a farmer from Somerset, because that's not really what we want the voice to be. So we need to be a bit careful with that. We're going to do this sort of with a kind of punch and roll sort of thing, where I'll just sort of go until we think it sounds bad and then stop it. But we'll see. Oh, thanks so much, Nico Mochi. I'm probably... making a disaster of that pronunciation, but that's lovely. That's lovely of you to say. It's not often. I certainly wouldn't describe myself as cool, but that's nice. Good luck with your PhD. What's your PhD on, Nico? What's your subject? Chapter 8. If you two are going to do anything, now would be a good time. What happened there? My throat did a wobble. The vocal cords went, nope. Oh, oncology, that's awesome, Nico. Good for you. Massive respect for that. Very cool. Let's try that again without sort of dying mid-sentence. If you two are going to do anything, now would be... I can't do it. We might have to come back and pick up that line. I've got tea here as well. Let's... If you two are going to do anything, now would be a good time, Ian roars, putting on a last desperate burst of speed as we charge along the side of the cliff face, the monsters screeching and cackling with glee at the thrill of... If you two are going to do anything, now would be a good time, Ian roars, putting on a last desperate burst of speed as we charge along the side of the cliff face, the monsters screeching and cackling with glee at the thrill of the hunt. Hayley turns in the saddle to pull a makeshift arrow from the bundle strapped to her pack, which she fits to her bow and looses into the cluster of demonic creatures bearing down on us, closer with every second. From her grunt of frustration, I can tell she's having no success. But... From her grunt of frustration, I can tell she's having no success. We're really struggling today, aren't we? We'll get into it. I'll get into the flow. From her grunt of frustration, I can tell she's having no success. But my eyes are squeezed tightly shut, not from fear, though I'm certainly terrified, but from concentration. None of us can feel the call. I don't know if it's going to come soon, or at all, and if it doesn't, we're all going to die. So, if it's possible to move on without it, if I'm ever going to find out, now is the time. So, if it's possible to move on without it, if I'm ever going to find out, now is the time. I'm picturing the door as Ian suggested. I can see it in my mind's eye. Watching out for tongue noises and things. I can see it in my mind's eye. I didn't consciously choose it, but it's my bedroom door from... I didn't consciously choose it, but it's my bedroom door from the house we lived in when I was little. I can see the pale blue paint, the Noah's Ark sign with the words Felix's room in bright, colourful letters. It's shut, but the handle's very clearly in focus, and I'm reaching for it. If I can open it, I might be able to step out into the corridor, and if I'm in the corridor, I can take us to a different room where the monsters can't follow. All I need to do is turn the handle. It's just too far to reach. Felix! Hayley cries. If you can do it now! Almost, I breathe, utterly focused. I reach out with my thoughts, just touching the handle with the tips of my fingers. I stretch, straining my mind to the point of physical pain. Felix! There. My fingers curl around the brass handle, and I push down, and the door in my mind swings open. I pull the three of us through, and then, where are we? What are we? We're lost, we're falling into ourselves. Where do we go? What do we have to stop? Cold. I'm on the ground, and it's cold. Snow on my fingertips. But I'm not cold. The ground is cold. The air is warm. The ground is cold. The air is warm. Just like on the ice world when the blizzard stopped. I open my eyes. The sky is bright and pale, a red sun glaring down, bathing the snowfields with light. I'm high up, looking down on it all. Dazed, I turn and take in my surroundings. This is still the ice world. We're on a flatter patch of a rocky slope by the mouth of a cave, dizzyingly high up, on the side of a mountain. I'm sitting on the snowy ground, my clothes damp, my muscles aching. Ian and Hayley lie beside me, The centaur's legs sprawled haphazardly, his tongue lolling comically out of his mouth. Haley is curled in a ball. Neither looks hurt. Did I do it? Did I move us on without feeling the call? Try that again. Did I do it? Did I move us on without the call? I'll pause there for a second. Hi, Ninja! Don't know if you're still here, you've probably gone already, but lovely of you to drop by. Thank you for the thoughts of audio recording. Hope you have a great day at college. And thank you, Starrel. We'll probably do another couple of takes of that bit, actually, just so I've got a couple to choose from. But I felt like it went sort of all right. I kind of just threw myself at it. Okay. We'll try that sentence with the difficult bit again. It's all sort of one word, but okay. I pull the three of us through, and then, where are we? What are we? We're lost, we're falling into ourselves. Where do we go? What do we have to? Stop! Sounds okay? The only thing is we might get a little bit of clipping where it gets loud, so I might do one take a little bit further back from the microphone. I pull the three of us through, and where are we? What are we? We're lost, we're falling into ourselves. Where do we go? What do we have to? Stop! Nearly, I missed the word do. I pull the three of us through, and where are we? What are we? We're lost, we're falling into ourselves. Where do we go? What do we do? Have to stop! Okay, we've got a few takes. Maybe one of those is okay, otherwise I might have to record it as a pickup. But anyway, we'll move on back to the bit we were at. Okay, let me just check the Audacity is actually still recording. Yes, it is. That's good. I'll just pause the recording there, and we can start it fresh. Let's see if it'll let me zoom out. Yeah, we definitely did get clipping, but not every single time. There's a couple of takes there that didn't have clipping for the loud stop, so that's possibly good. Then again, because it's kind of distorted and they're falling and everything, I could... Maybe, I don't know, I tried not to use audio effects or anything on it at any point, but maybe that particular bit, I could sort of do a tiny bit of distortion. And then the clipping kind of works anyway. I don't know, I might play with it, but I'm trying to keep the SFX like absolutely minimal, like no SFX. Keep it a dry audio recording as much as possible, so it's as accessible as possible. But we'll see. Anyway, okay, right. We'll continue recording from there. I might just save the session as well so far. I'm also having a problem where the microphone thing is in the way of my screen. So I might just move the recording. There you go. If I move I've just moved my book I'm reading over to the left so I can peer around the left-hand side of the microphone to see it. So that's fine. I can see it with the left eye all the time. Okay, right. Are we recording now? No, we're not. Let's get recording. Testing. Yep, recording is going on. That's good. We like that. So now... By the way, the thing about the door, the childhood bedroom door with the pale blue paint, the Noah's Ark sign with the words Felix's room, that is very much a self-insert. When I was growing up, I had a pale blue door with a sign, like a little kid's sign kind of thing that had sort of like Noah's Ark with like little animals or what on it, whatever, and it said Joe's room. And like, I just sort of inserted that in because it was nice as like a bit of imagery of a genuine childhood memory kind of thing. Dang. Anyway. Okay. A little bit of Joseph Law. Okay. We continue. Did I do it? Did I move us on without the call? It felt different. Nothing like moving on ever was before. If moving on with the call was stepping through a door, this was diving off a canyon, landing in rapids. Try that again. If moving on with the call was stepping through a door, this was diving off a canyon, landing in rapids, being tossed and thrown and battered by the streams and vortices of time and space. One more time. I can't quite get the intonation right on that. If moving on with the call was stepping through a door, this was diving off a canyon, landing in rapids, being tossed and thrown and battered by the streams and vortices of time and space. One more time, because my tongue made a weird noise. Kind of noise while I was going. We'll try that one more time. If moving on with the call was stepping through a door, this was diving off a canyon, landing in rapids, being tossed and thrown and battered by the streams and vortices of time and space. I managed to grab onto something, I think. I caught hold of this world before we were slept away, because we went to sleep. No, okay. I managed to grab onto something, I think. I caught hold of this world before we were swept away. I looked down onto the snowfields, my eye drawn towards a cluster of woods. The cluster of woods Ian and I found Haley in, I realise. This must be the mountain the monsters were chasing us along. So, where are they now? Ian groans. I run over to him and help him climb unsteadily to his feet. To his hooves, I mean. He looks around blearily. Where are we? Still on the ice world, I tell him. I think. Still on the ice world, I tell him. I think I managed to move us. Not onto another world, just a little up the mountain. That was fortunately timed, Ian remarks, shaking his head and chuckling. What happened to the scary things? No sign of them. A few moments later, Haley wakes as well, and when she's regained her bearings, she voices the concerning observation that there doesn't appear to be any obvious way down. A few moments later, Haley wakes as well, and when she's regained her bearings, she voices the concerning observation that there doesn't appear to be any obvious way down. At least we have shelter, I say, gesturing towards the cave. At least we have shelter, I say, gesturing towards the cave. Maybe we can wait in there until we get the call. I thought we didn't need it now, Haley says, grinning. I'm not doing that again, I shudder. No way. I had no control at all. If I'd let us actually leave this world, I don't think we'd have ended up anywhere at all. Plosive. If I'd let us actually leave this world, I don't think we'd have ended up anywhere at all. We'd just have been lost. That plosive on the ended up. And I'll try it one more time just so I've got a couple of takes. If I'd let us actually leave this world, I don't think we'd have ended up anywhere at all. We'd just have been lost. Lost where? Ian asks, and I'm not certain myself. These are just feelings I get. Vague silhouettes of knowledge cast in my mind. From where? I don't know. Just lost, I say hesitantly. I'm not exactly an expert on this. What's that? Asks Haley, pointing, and we look towards the woods. There's some kind of commotion happening on the near side. Shapes moving quickly out of the forest towards us. Something brown, followed by several other somethings that are black. The monsters, I realise. But what are they chasing? By Ra. Oh, that went Australian there. Struth, Felix, looks like it's the monsters. Oh, no, that's gone Texas. Okay, right. Here, I'm from north. He's from north. Ian, okay, right. By Ra, Ian murmurs. We look at him. It's us. I look again at the leading figure. It can't be. But it is. It's Ian, bounding through the snow at a full gallop, and on his back, tiny from this distance but still recognisable, are Haley and me. I don't think you just moved us in space, Ian says quietly. We time-travelled, Haley finishes, looking at me with wide, awed eyes. You sent us a few minutes into the past. The figures work their way across the snow, trailing clouds of churned up ice, and I eye the monsters, trying to make out precisely what they are. Each is easily as big as Ian, spiny, multi-legged, fast-moving, and unquestionably deadly. I can't tell much more of that. Much more of that? I think I mean I can't tell much more than that. That's a typo there. I should note that down somewhere. Can't tell much more of should be much more than that. There's a piece of paper. Because there's a couple of typos we've spotted while recording this. And I want to correct them in a new edition. This is page 49. I can't tell much more of that. Okay. Just check the Audacity recording since we paused anyway. Yeah, we're still recording. That's good. Each is easily as big as Ian. Spiny, multi-legged, fast-moving, and unquestionably deadly. I can't tell much more than that, thanks to both the I can't tell much more than that, thanks both to I can't tell much more than that, thanks to both the distance and the obscuring clouds thrown up by their passage. The past Ian puts on a burst of speed, and without warning, the wizard the wizard erupts out of nowhere. No, the blizzard erupts. Okay, let's try that again. The past Ian puts on a burst of speed, and without warning, the blizzard erupts out of nowhere again. The past Ian puts on a burst of speed, and without warning, the blizzard erupts out of nowhere again. Of course. Exactly as it did before. We retreat into the cave, clinging to one another for warmth, as the storms of nature howl past outside. We've got to be safe up here, I say, but I don't feel half as sure as I sound. Depends if they can climb or not. Climb? How do northern people say climb? Yup, I've got some gravy and I'm gonna go climbing. Climbing? I'm gonna go climbing up mountain. Gonna climb down pit. Climb down. I feel like it's climb, but it might be climb. It's not climb. Oh, it depends if they can climb or not. That sounds right, if I say it like that. Right. Climb. It's like an... Okay, let's try it. I'll just try a few takes and I don't know. Depends if they can climb or not, Ian replies. What do we do if they can? Hayley looks at me imploringly. You'll have to move us on, call or no call. I shake my head. I meant what I said. I couldn't control it, and we were nearly destroyed. Then do what you did before and send us back in time. Again. I'd rather that than die. She grabs me by the shoulders, her eyes boring into mine. I look away. We'll help you, Ian says. We can imagine a door. Maybe the three of us can control it together. We sit in a triangle on the cave floor. Hayley suggests holding hands, and I figure it can't hurt. Her hand is warm and soft in mine, and touching it sends a faint thrill through me that I can't afford to indulge right now. We close our eyes, ignoring the sound of the blizzard outside. The image of the door springs instantly to my mind. It's easier this time. Can you see it? I ask the others. I think so, Hayley says slowly. It's my playroom, from when I was a kid. It's my daughter's bedroom, Ian says gruffly, but there's a thick layer of emotion in his voice that he's holding back. Can either of you reach the handle? I stretch for mine, and my mental Can either of you reach the handle? I stretch for mine, and my mental fingers find the brass again. It's too far away, Ian says. Haley makes a noise of agreement. You have to reach for it. Stretch yourself. I wish I could be of more help to them, but it's impossible to clearly describe. They have to find it by themselves. The sound of the blizzard cuts out, and I open my eyes in response. Keep trying, I tell them. I need to see. I leave them facing each other on the cave floor, and I run to the edge, leaning down to see what's happening below. The monsters have nearly caught up with our past selves. The monsters have nearly caught up with our past selves. They're gaining every second. Haley fires her arrow, and then another. I can see myself on Ian's back, arms wrapped around his torso. It's merest moments before the monsters will catch us. Then we're gone. There's no flash of light or even a shimmer in the air. We're just simply not there anymore. The monsters stop, and now I can see them clearly. Their chitinous skin is black as obsidian. I prefer chitin. I went for chitinous there, but that was like a conscious... I think chitinous skin. I think you can say either, but I think their chitinous skin is black as obsidian. I'm going to go with chitinous, unless someone tells me not to do that. But I don't know. Chitinous, chitinous, chitinous. Okay. The monsters stop, and now I can see them clearly. The monsters stop, and now I can see them clearly. Their chitinous skin is black as obsidian, forming a seemingly impenetrable suit of armour around their spindly torsos. 5 spiny legs reach, extend bananas. Let's just try that again. That was a Joseph swear, by the way. Bananas. Okay. Ooh! Darn. Fan. Forgot to turn off my computer graphics card fan. Oh, that's really annoying. I can hear it whirring now. I wonder if... I'll have to listen back. It might mean I have to re-record everything up till now, if it's audible in the background. I'm hoping it won't be. But that's really irritating. Oh, I knew there'd be something. I turned off the case fans. I silenced everything else, but I can hear the GPU fan whirring away. Ugh. There. Silence. It's gone. That's going to be audible. Oh, I did all of that. Look, I'll carry on from here. We'll see where we get to. At least I noticed now. Oh. Pass, Joseph, thou fool. At least I'm warmed up now. Anyway. I'll pause the recording there so I've got a clear stop point. And then I'll just continue from this point. And if I have to pick it up tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Not going to make you listen to it again. Okay. The monsters stop, and now I can see them clearly. Their chitinous skin is black as obsidian, forming a seemingly impenetrable suit of armour around their spindly torsos. 5 spiny legs extend like the points of a star, and 2 clawed arms reach forward from just below the neck. Atop that, snapping and hissing, is the head. It's partly like a wolf to a degree, rows of sharp teeth lining an extended, hairy muzzle. But its eyes are compound, a mess of 9 or 10 pupils glaring from 2 glittering red clusters. Those eyes turn from the spot where Ian and Haley and I vanished, and look up, right at me. I shrink back against the cliff face, but I can feel them. They don't need to see me to find me. They can feel my mind, and they're ravenous for it. I peer over the edge again, and to my horror, I see the foremost of the 3 monsters turn to the cliff face below me and move towards it. The spider-like legs lift off the ground as the monster rears up, placing its front 3 on the wall. It shifts its weight, and then somehow it pulls the last 2 up with it. And it's climbing up the wall, its entire body at 90 degrees to the ground, as it ascends the sheer vertical rise. No. The other 2 follow suit. I turn and run. "We need to go!" I shout to Ian and Haley, still crouched where I left them. "They're climbing the mountain!" "We can't do it, Felix!" Haley protests, opening her eyes to look at me, fear plain on her face. One more try. "We can't do it, Felix!" Haley protests, opening her eyes to look at me, fear plain on her face. "We're trying, but we can't do what you can do." "They'll be here any second!" I cry. "Then risk it!" Ian says calmly. No, he says it calmly. That was very, right, okay, we'll try that again. "Then risk it," Ian says calmly. Pull us through like you did before. Wherever we end up, if we end up anywhere at all, it has to be better than being torn apart by those creatures." He's right. Fine. I sit by them, taking both their hands. From outside, the scrabbling and screeching noises of the monsters are terrifyingly loud. They must be at least halfway up. I close my eyes and reach for the door handle in my mind. My fingers curl around it, and I pull. But it won't budge. Something's holding it shut. I stare at the door with my mind's eye, and then I see it. The handle isn't brass anymore. It's black, pitch black, pinned in place by a living, that's not a word. Try again. The handle isn't brass anymore. It's black, pitch black, pinned in place by a living, breathing shadow. I draw back from it, and the shadow rises up in front of me, and I hear the same sound I heard back in the forest when we were looking for Haley. That chuckle. "You can't run, little traveller." I feel rather than hear the words. Not like the voice in the cave, not blissful and peaceful like it was, but cold, jagged, and dripping with hate. "Stay. Come out of your cave and say hello. We won't bite." "Felix?" Haley cries. "I can't do it!" I shout, panicked. "They're blocking me!" "Won't you stay with us? We've waited so very long, and we're so very hungry." One more try. "Won't you stay with us? We've waited so very long, and we're so very hungry." "Then we better get moving," Ian declares, pulling us to our feet. Only one way to run." The 3 of us turn from the approaching nightmares and flee into the darkness of the cave. It goes back further than I'd initially thought, though the light from the entrance provides only the dimmest of illumination. The roof slopes lower and lower, low enough that Ian has to duck his head as we run, the cave shifting into a tunnel narrowing. The roof slopes lower and lower, low enough that Ian has to duck his head as we run, the cave shifting into a tunnel running into the mountain. The tunnel dips, and suddenly narrows to a crack just wide enough for me to fit through if I turn sideways. Both Haley and I look at Ian. There's no way he can come any further. The tunnel dips, and suddenly narrows to a crack just wide enough for me to fit through if I turn sideways. Both Haley and I look at Ian. There's no way he can come any further. There's no way he can come any further. Ian sighs resignedly, and reaches into the pack slung across his shoulders. I can't say this sentence. Ian sighs resignedly, and reaches into his pack. Ian sighs resignedly, and reaches into the pack slung across his shoulders. From it he withdraws an axe, its handle carved beautifully with etchings of centaurs in motion, weapons in hand. The blade is bright, polished steel. "This was my father's," he says softly. Kept it with me all this way. Glad I did. What are you doing? Hayley asks him, her voice afraid. Ian simply hefts the axe and turns to stand in the centre of the tunnel behind us. Get yourselves through that crack. They won't be able to follow you. But what about you? She protests and turns to me for support. But there's nothing I can say. He says, swinging his axe through the air. I'm going to give these scum a taste of Stalroth steel. She looks tearfully to him and then back to me again. There has to be something we can do, she cries. Open the door again, Felix. I told you. I can't, I say quietly. The monsters have sealed it shut. As though summoned by my thought, the light at the entrance to the cave is blotted out by the huge, rearing shape of a monster. Its terrible scream fills the tunnel. Go! Go! Ian roars, and I pull Hayley towards the crack. She resists for a moment, reaching out a hand to Ian, which he touches softly, before turning away to face the darkness. Back home, we have a saying, I hear him say calmly, as we drop out of the other side of the gap, into another tunnel at a right angle to the first. Ride fast, and die a good death. You lot certainly ride fast, he says to the approaching enemy, and I can hear the defiance in his voice. Now which of you wants a good death? Now which of you wants a good death? Now which of you wants a good death? We hear the crunch of steel on chitin, and the howl of the monster, and then another, and then another. The creature's allies have caught up. Hayley grabs my hand and we run, feeling our way through the pitch black of the tunnel, heedless of the cuts and scrapes of the rocks against our skin. The sounds of battle echo after us, the scream of a monster, and an inarticulate battle cry from Ian, a cry of fury and refusal to yield. Tears fill my eyes as the cry is drawn into a scream, and then reduced to a gurgle, before cutting out altogether. I pound a fist against the rock, closing my eyes in bitter frustration, and I realise the darkness holding my mind. I pound a fist against the rock, closing my eyes in bitter frustration, and I realise the darkness holding the door in my mind shut has weakened, torn across the middle by the strike of Ian's axe. With a little effort, I pull the shadows aside, grabbing the handle and pulling the door open. Beyond it lies time and space, a tumbling cascade that threatens to carry us to oblivion. In the real world, I hear a great crash, a rumbling and tearing of stone, followed by the cry of the monsters, far closer than it should be. And I realise they've managed to smash their way through into the In the real world, I hear a great crash, a rumbling and tearing of stone, followed by the cry of the monsters, far closer than it should be, and I realise they've managed to smash their way through into the tunnels after us. We have to go. Where is the call? Why hasn't it sounded for us? Why did Ian have to die? When we find the voice, it's going to answer those questions, and it's going to pay. But for that to happen, we need to survive. So I take the risk. I pull Hayley through the door in my... I pull Hayley through that door in my mind with me, and the two of us fall, carried away by the rushing torrents of time. I pull Hayley through that door in my mind with me, and the two of us fall, carried away by the rushing torrents of time. End of the chapter. Okay, so we'll see. I suspect I probably am going to have to re-record the first half of the chapter because that darn graphics card fan. But what can we do? Anyway, we'll move on. Because we've got the flow going. And, you know, as I say, I can come back to it in my own time. You like? Good! I'm glad you enjoyed that, Nico. Hopefully it sounded alright. I'm garbling quite a lot today. There's a lot of sort of slip-ups and things. But hey, that's recording. That's the game. I might do several retakes of sort of Ian's final words, because I think those are quite key that I get that right, and I don't want like any comedy of my bad northern accent to like distract from the sort of charged emotion of that moment. So we'll see. But anyway. Oh, thanks, Leo. I'm sorry I made you cry. Well, not sorry, because that's writing. Like, it's good if I made you cry, to be honest. But anyway, yes. Anyway, I'm glad. That's nice. Good. Okay, I'm glad you care. I'm glad you care about the characters made up in my mind. Okay. Chapter 9. Grey. Everything is grey. The sky, the rain, the meagre light filtering through the clouds to the grey, sodden ground. Grey skies, grey clouds, grey tears. Grey skies, grey clouds, grey tears. We've been here for days, and we've hardly done a thing. We've been here for days, and we've hardly done a thing. We're camped in an open field of grass, ringed by lumpy, undulating hills. The rain runs off their flanks and pools in shallow, muddy patches that squelch and suck at our feet as we scour for food. The rest of the time, we just sort of sit here together, watching the ripples of the rain on the river that flows right past our camp. Only 2 tents now. Just her and me. We're not really waiting for anything. We're just existing. Robbed entirely of our momentum, of our will to carry on, we simply sit here, listless, directionless, purposeless. Why did Ian have to die? Why did Ian have to die? It was so pointless. The voice could have moved us on, could have saved him, but it left it to me, and what could I do? I couldn't open the door. I couldn't open the door with the monsters holding it shut. I couldn't open the door with the monsters holding it shut. It was Ian's sacrifice that had allowed us to... It was Ian's sacrifice that had allowed us to escape. But why had that even been necessary? If the voice hadn't brought us to the ice world, Ian would still be alive. If the voice hadn't brought us to the ice world, Ian would still be alive. I can't really remember what happened after I pulled Hayley through the door with me. There'd been that panic again, that sense of falling, and then... I can't remember. It's not blackness, it's just... grey. Somehow we ended up here. Perhaps I managed to grab a hold on reality at some point as we fell. Perhaps we simply washed up here like flotsam on the currents of time. I don't think I care. On the 3rd day, we hold a funeral for him. It's not like we have a body to bury. That would have been torn to shreds by the monsters back on the ice world. But we feel we have to honour him somehow. We only knew Ian for a short time, but we loved him. He was one of us. A brother. He was good, Hayley says quietly, looking down at the small cairn of pebbles we've built on a firmer patch of ground between our 2 tents. Were this a movie, we'd have built it around an axe of his, or a tool he'd used, or something that was at least vaguely relevant to him. But to our shame, we have nothing. Not a single thing between us that came from Ian. Not a single thing between us that came from Ian. But for our memories, he might never have existed. Not a single thing between us that came from Ian. But for our memories, he might never have existed. But for our memories, he might never have existed. But for our memories, he might never have existed. He might never have existed. It's a hard sentence to say that. But for our memories, he might never have existed. He was kind, I say. Brave, too. He died for us. Haley makes a noise halfway between a sob and a growl. What for? She mutters. We'll die too. It's just a matter of when. What for? What for? She mutters. We'll die too. It's just a matter of when. Don't say that. Why not? She retorts, meeting my eyes. You know it's true. Everywhere we go, there's something trying to kill us, and we're clearly not going home. Everywhere we go, there's something trying to kill us, and we're clearly not going home anytime soon. The voice was happy to abandon us on the ice world. We've been forgotten, Felix. I shake my head. We're not going to die, Haley. I won't let us. I won't let Ian have died for nothing. This is all for nothing, she shouts, grabbing my shoulders. It's all just been a game. We're never going home. We're never going to get anywhere. We're just going to wander until we die. Shut up, I bark, pushing her hands. Shut up, I bark, pushing her hand. Shut up, I bark, pushing her hands roughly away from me, and she stumbles backwards. Maybe you've given up, but I won't. We survive, Haley. We're going to make it through this, and we're going to win. She looks at me, her eyes furious, and something breaks inside of her. Her eyes fill with tears, and she buries her face in her hands. Tentatively, I take a step towards her, and then another. I gently put my arms around her, and she leans into me, crying into my chest as I look grimly out across the fields of mud. The rain runs down our necks and backs and into our boots. I hold her, and she cries. After a while, I cry too. The rain runs down our necks and backs and into our boots. I hold her, and she cries. After a while, I cry too. On the 5th day, I decide I've had enough. I leave Haley asleep by the fire and march off towards the hills. Yesterday, while hunting, I came across a hollow in the gap between two of them that burrows into the earth. I thought nothing of it at the time, but now I know exactly what I need to do. I thought nothing of it at the time, but now I know exactly what I need to do. It takes me 10 minutes to find it again, a damp, muddy hole in the ground, small enough that I have to stoop to fit inside. I climb into it and make my way to the back, where the cave narrows into a wall full of earthworms and tree roots, and the grey light fades to pitch black. Okay then, I whisper to the darkness. You've made your point. We've passed your trials. You've made your point. We've passed your trials, done as you said. But we're tired of this. Just send us home. I know you can do it. Stop playing games and just let us go. Silence. I know you can hear me, damn you, I hiss. The voice I want to hear says nothing. The voice I want to hear says nothing. What do you want from us? What are we supposed to do? I'm not whispering anymore. I'm crying, shouting, beating my fists against the wall in frustration and despair. Just let us go, I keep on repeating, from the quietest murmurs to screams that leave my voice hoarse. Just let us go, I keep on repeating, from the quietest murmurs to screams that leave my voice hoarse. Just let us go. I sink to the ground and weep. I'm just going to retake that bit. What do you want from us? What do you want from us? What are we supposed to do? I'm not whispering anymore. I'm crying, shouting, beating my fists against the wall in frustration and despair. Just let us go, I keep on repeating, from the quietest murmurs to screams that leave my voice hoarse. Just let us go. I sink to the ground and weep. Time passes. I don't know how long. I think I fall asleep, leaning against the wall in that hollow, but I hardly care if Haley wonders where I am. I think I'm dreaming, but real or not, I hear a voice. Try that again. Time passes. I don't know how long. I think I fall asleep, leaning against the wall in that hollow, but I hardly care if Haley wonders where I am. I think I'm dreaming, but real or not, I hear a voice. It's my mother. It's my mother. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. What's that? It sounds like the Bible. My family is Church of England, but we don't go very often. Only really at Christmas, and sometimes at Easter and Remembrance Day. I've never heard my mother do a reading. But it's her, clear as day. She sounds sad. In my father's house there are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? I think I can see her. Yes, we're in a church. Yes, we're in a church. I'm sitting in the pews, packed full of people, and my mother is reading at the altar. Her long blonde hair is neatly tied in a bun, her dress a demure black, her eyes red and puffy from crying. I want to go to her, to comfort her. It's been so long since I last saw her. I miss her. Mum! I try to call to her, but no sound leaves my mouth. She doesn't look at me. Her eyes are on the casket lying closed beside her. Flowers lie scattered on top of it. Flowers lie scattered on the top of it, and there's a framed photograph. It's a funeral. That was my shoulder. Flowers lie scattered on top of it, and there's a framed photograph. It's a funeral, or a memorial service. I wonder whose it is. I crane my neck, and I can just make out the face in the picture. It's me. Oh my God, it's me. It's me. Oh my God, it's me. Am I dead? No, I know I'm not. I rise from my seat. No one looks at me, and then I'm walking down the aisle towards the casket. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am you may be also, my mother continues. I reach the casket and realise it's not a casket at all. It's a sort of table, the top of which has been shaped in that familiar casket shape, but there's no body. They're holding my funeral without a body. They think I'm dead. I've been missing for long enough that they think I'm dead. Oh, was there a mistake there, Sterile? Go and. Did I say that wrong? Ah, okay, we'll go back. Thanks, Sterile, good catch. Thanks, Willful Serenity, that's lovely of you to say. Okay, I'm trying to do the acting. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am you may be also, my mother continues. I reach the casket and realise it's not a casket at all. It's a sort of table, the top of which has been shaped in that familiar casket shape. But there's no body. They're holding my funeral without a body. They think I'm dead. I've been missing for long enough that they think I'm dead. I need to get back. Please, let me get back. And you know the way to where I'm going. And you know the way to where I'm going. And you know the way to where I am going. And then the vision is gone, and I'm alone in the hollow. The light outside is dim. It's nearly dusk. But I left in the morning. Hayley will be looking for me. She might think I've moved on without her. I run and run and run, fast as I can, across the mud and grass, desperate to get back to her and to tell her about what I saw. But I can see from afar something's badly wrong. Our campsite is invisible beneath a cloud of thick, coiling smoke. Hayley! I increase my speed, running faster than I ever have before. Panic grips me. She has to be all right. Please, dear God, let her be all right. My heart's in my mouth as I plunge into the smoke. Hayley! I scream. Our tents are ablaze. I dash for hers, lifting what remains of the flap, but inside it's empty. I turn around, scanning the flames, and my heart stops. Hayley. Hayley, in the spiny arms of a monster. Huge, black, the same beast from the ice world. How can it be here? How? Has the voice brought it to test me? It killed Ian. I won't let it take her from me. It killed Ian. I won't let it take her from me. It killed Ian. I won't let it take her from me. No, I can't do it right. I won't, because it killed Ian. I won't let it take her from me. That's where the emphasis should be. It killed Ian. I won't let it take her from me. Consumed by instinct and primeval rage, I charge... Consumed by instinct and primeval rage, I charge the beast, knife in hand, screaming a battle cry that hardly sounds human to my own ears. The beast hisses, hurling Hayley to one side and meeting me head on. My knife comes up, plunging into one of its many eyes, but one of its claws slashes open my shirt, tearing a jagged hole in the flesh of my belly. I gasp with agony, but my rage spurs me on. I twist my blade in the monster's face, ripping a cluster of its eyes apart. Its other claw swings down, biting into my leg with a shower of blood. I collapse to one knee, tearing my weapon free and stabbing it into the other cluster of eyes. Now it's the monster's turn to scream, blinded by my strike. Its head whips forward, snapping at me wildly. I twist to one side, breaking free of its grasp, but its teeth catch on my ear, ripping away a chunk of the earlobe. But I won't give up. No wound can stop me now. I stab upwards, desperately, and my blade slips into a gap in the chitin between the torso and the abdomen. It slides in up to the hilt and hits something hard and tough. I push harder, and the point judders on through. Something bursts inside the monster, and it hisses one last time before it falls limp and collapses to the ground, legs splaying out like a crushed spider. I stagger away, making for Hayley's crumpled body. I put my hand out to her, and it comes away sticky with blood. She can't be dead. She can't be. Is she breathing? I can't tell if she's breathing. I lean closer to her, desperate to help, but uncertain of what to do. She's the one who was trained in first aid. I can't. There's just so much blood. Then a familiar feeling rises up in my mind. The call. It's weak, much weaker than it was before the ice world, but it's still strong enough to guide us on. I can't help Hayley here. There's just nothing I can do for her. There I wait for you, the voice said about the final world. The gates of hell itself. Is it waiting for us now? Can it help her? It has to. And if it can't, it's going to pay. For Ian, for her, for everything. I wrap my arms around her body, holding her close, and move on. Try that one more time. Is it waiting for us now? Can it help her? It has to. And if it can't, it's going to pay. For Ian, for her, for everything. I wrap my arms around her body, holding her close, and move on. Okay, cool. That's the end of that chapter. We're making good progress, I think, actually. I think some of these chapters are shorter than some of the early ones. Certainly I know chapter 4 was massively rewritten in one of the drafts and became this absolute beast. So I think that's why it took us longer for some of the earlier ones. But I like the way it kind of gains momentum through these ones. So, sounding good so far? Enjoying it? Hope so. Oh, thanks, Leo. You're really kind. You're saying lots of lovely things today. Thank you. Right. I do quite like this chapter, actually. I like this bit. It was the whole grey world and this mood here was, you know how I wrote it while I was on that world challenge thing? Like, this one I wrote on a day when, like, the morale in the group, like, in camp was just, like, really low. Everyone was, for whatever reason, was just really depressed. Maybe because I'd read them the Dead Ian chapter the night before. No, it wasn't, my story didn't affect anyone that much. But, like, for some reason, it was just, like, it was just, like, a depressing kind of day. So I sort of really channeled that with the chapter. So I think it comes across, which is nice. The thing with the funeral kind of thing that I wrote later on, I sort of inserted that back in. The kind of original draft was Felix just sort of shouted in the cave, and then he did hear the voice, and it, like, encouraged him onwards. And then I thought, no, that's way too easy. Like, I thought it's better for him not to hear the voice. And then, to be honest, if I were to rewrite it now, I might not even do this funeral scene now. I almost think the scene would be more effective if Felix, like, yelled in the cave and everything and just got nothing back. Obviously, this is what I did, and I think this works in its own way too. It's kind of weird scene, and it gives sort of a little bit of the insight as to what's going on back home. But I kind of feel, yeah, I might stick with the gut punch even more of him just sort of being totally abandoned at this stage. But I don't know. Anyway, this is what we're doing, so. Oh, thanks so much, Willful Serenity. I'm really glad you bought it. I hope you like it. I mean, you're about to hear the last 2 chapters of the thing, so it's kind of going to spoil the first lot for you. But to be honest, the rate I'm reading this, which is much slower than you could probably read it, you could probably read the first 9 chapters and then catch up before I finish, if you want to. Anyway, but yeah, that's really kind. I hope you like it. If you do like it, please do leave me a review. That would be amazing. It would be a lovely way to support me. So, like on Amazon or on Goodreads, like that would be wonderful. But no pressure, obviously. Anyway, right. Onwards to chapter 10, where we leave Felix's narrator voice briefly here. Oh, I just realised I can feel the sweat patches under my arms. I probably shouldn't raise arms up while I'm doing this. I'll keep the arms down because that's probably gross. But yeah, we leave. So maybe we'll see how this goes. Whether I should do it differently. I probably will still keep the same basic narrator voice, but we leave Felix's POV very briefly. I'll just play back, by the way, some of this, just make sure we haven't got any more noise coming through, no weird sounds or anything. Let's just have a very quick listen back. Yeah, that sounds alright. Very tiny amount of background noise. And move on. No, maybe there is a little bit of a hum. Let's just adjust the mic again. Just make sure it's all properly tightened up. There, that's better. That's more neutral. I've got a lot of filtering software and stuff these days anyway, so we should be able to get rid of background noise. And in theory, we should be able to minimize the effect of the fan earlier on, but I'd like it to be consistent, so I will diligently listen back and see if the fan matters too much or not. But yeah. Anyway, right. Onwards to chapter 10. Hope this is fun, by the way, for you guys. I don't know how fun it is listening to me narrate this, but it's, I don't know. it's fun sharing it with you. So, and hey, we sold at least one book, so that's something to get out of it. It is fun having the feedback rather than doing this entirely in a vacuum. It's like, yeah, you're being my free directors, so that's good. Okay, right. Let's, where are we? Yeah. Okay. Chapter 10. The Oxford English Dictionary defines darkness as the partial or total absence of light. And it's true. Ordinary darkness isn't a thing. It's just where a thing, which is light, is not. Behind the gates in the final world, there is darkness. But the darkness there is tangible, living, infinite. Infinite. It is older than time, than any universe. The darkness behind the gates is the first darkness, that existed in balance with the light of the very first beginning. It is imprisoned, locked away in a cage forged by a god. But no cage can hold back infinity. Shadows seep between those mighty gates, and they fall through creation, dripping through the boundaries between worlds. A shadow fell on the ice world. It passed through to the grey world. A shadow fell on the ice world. A shadow fell on the ice world. It passed through to the grey world. Wherever the shadows fall, they fall with a single purpose, to snuff out the light of life wherever they find it. They feed on it, and the holy fire of mortal souls turns to the unholy darkness of the monsters. One more try. They feed on it, and the holy fire of mortal souls turns to the unholy Okay. They feed on it, and the holy fire of mortal souls turns to the unholy darkness of the monsters. I keep running out of breath. Come on, we can do this. They feed on it. They feed on it, and the holy fire of mortal souls turns to the unholy darkness of the monsters. And now we have followed it back to its source, to the gates of hell itself. And now we have followed it back to its source, to the gates of hell itself. That's what the voice in the cave called it. That's what the voice in the cave called it. I've wondered if that was a metaphor, representing some final challenge that will test us to our breaking points. I've wondered if that was a metaphor, representing some final challenge that will test us to our breaking points. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in hell, or the devil. Evil, true evil, comes from man, not some horned demon from a realm of suffering and fire. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in hell, or the devil. Evil, true evil. I don't believe in hell, or the devil. Evil, true evil, comes from man, not some horned devil from a realm of suffering and fire. And yet, here I stand, Haley's body resting at my feet, an insignificant... And yet, here I stand, Haley's body resting at my feet, an insignificant speck in the face of two megalithic obsidian gates, higher and wider than I can take in. The sky is crimson, the ground is black. There is no wind. Just a brief pause there. Megalithic. I love that word. Never used it, other than in that specific sentence. Very rare you get the opportunity to say the word megalithic. Strong recommend. Great word. Very satisfying. Anyway. These are the gates of hell. These are the gates of hell. I cannot possibly see what lies behind them, but I can feel it. In my mind, in my blood, in my bones. Felix, you're such a drama queen in this chapter. Okay. Bees? What about bees? Oh, mind, blood, bones? I thought I accidentally said bees. I can feel the bees behind the gates. The bees! Can you hear the buzzing? They bring the honey. Okay. Oh, I need to decide. We've got another voice here. Now, this should be like the voice in the cave. They should be consistent. But this should be old. This is old man voice. But not like, oh, get off my lawn, kind of old man voice. So I'm not quite sure how I'll do this. Let's try it. You can sense it, can't you? No, that sounds a bit rubbish. We don't like that. Maybe a different accent? Should I make it like this? No, that sounds a bit silly. That's the problem. All of my accents are a bit silly. That's why I can never do convincing accent work and this kind of thing. Because they're all silly. That's why I struggled so much carrying Ian's serious northern accent. I don't know what to do for this voice. For the Guardian. Maybe just not silly. You can sense it, can't you? A voice suddenly says. The same voice from the cave, what feels like a lifetime ago. I turn sharply, and a figure stands beside me, dressed in the grey, tattered robes of a wandering monk. I cannot make out their face beneath the shadows of their hood, but the voice is male, and carries with it the weariness of centuries. This is him, the one who called us all this way. This is him, the one who called us all this way. Who are you? I ask him. The man chuckles, but the chuckle dissolves into a splutter, and then a hacking cough that leaves him bent over double, a hand on his chest. I move towards him, uncertain if I should help, but he waves me away with a gnarled, bony hand. My name is not important, he says. We're not doing that. My name? No, because I don't... The raspy voice sounds really fake all the time, doesn't it? You know, if I talk like this, I sound like someone who's trying to do an old man voice rather than a natural old man voice. My name is... My name is not... Okay, if I keep it really calm, does that... You know, because we got Felix's voice, which is just my voice. It just sits in the natural register. Like, hello, I'm Felix. This is how Felix talks. It's just sort of a bit like that. It's just normal. We've obviously got Haley, who's a higher register like that. And we've got Ian. Oh, that's my Ian voice. There you go. That's all. And that's all the characters we have so far. Now, for the voice in the cave, I went for the really grandiose... sort of... Through the realm of darkness, past the realm of fire, to the gates of hell itself. I went for the resonance. Through the realm of fire, past the world of ice, to the gates of hell itself. There I wait for you. There everything ends. So if I just go deep, and I keep it RP and deep, but more human. My name is not important. You can sense it, can't you? You can sense it, can't you? A voice suddenly says. The same voice from the cave, what feels like a lifetime ago. My name is not important. My name is not important, he says, once he has recovered. I am the Guardian, and it was my voice you heard. All along, actually, not just in the cave. I called you across the worlds, you and thousands of others, her included. he adds, nodding at Haley. I am the Guardian, and it was my voice you heard. All along, actually, not just in the cave. All along, actually, not just in the cave. I called you across the worlds, you and thousands of others, her included, he adds, nodding at Haley. There's so much I want to say, to ask, but there's one thing more important than anything else. Can you save her? I ask, praying beyond all hope it's a yes. I can, he replies, but makes no move towards Haley. I look at him, confused and expectant. But it is not the way. You mean you won't? I ask, disbelieving, and my hand curls into a fist. He nods. There is nothing that can be done for her by way of physical means. I could employ the powers bestowed upon me to aid her, but there would be words that I can't say, so I'll try again. I think I'm getting the voice now. There is nothing that can be done for her by way of physical means. I could employ the powers bestowed upon me to aid her, but there would be consequences. To hell with the consequences! I shout at him, drawing myself up to my full height despite the pain of my injuries, staring straight at where I imagine his eyes must be. You brought us here, so that makes you responsible. This is all your fault. He shakes his head in a manner that seems almost condescending. You will understand in time. There is nothing to be done for your friend. Please, I beg. I trail off, knowing what I feel, but not how to say it with words. Please, I beg. I trail off, knowing what I feel, but not how to say it with words. Please, I beg. I trail off, knowing what I feel, but not how to say it with words. He nods slowly, understanding my meaning. Move away from her. Move away from her, he commands. By the way, just a little aside, just because you're listening. In the earlier draft, the original version of this story, Felix says, please, I love her. But I cut that because it seemed too on the nose, you know? But that is what he means at this point. That's what he's thinking and can't say. But like, it felt too, you know, because they've only known each other a short time. They're only teenagers. They're very much, you know, it's like it's drawn together by the situation that they're in. So it's all very teenage angst kind of feelings. But yeah, anyway, right. So that's what he understands from her, from him, kind of. I like to think he's an old romantic, the Guardian, maybe. But yeah. Sorry, this sounds really egotistical talking about my own book. It's silly. But anyway, there you go. Don't know if that's interesting or not, but right. Okay. Here we go. I did the arms again. Sorry. Right. I'm reluctant to leave her side, but I have no other options. This man is my only hope. I step away. The man raises a hand, and my eyes widen at the deep, livid scar that covers his palm. It's a pentagram, a circle filled with a 5-pointed star. The scar begins to glow, first red and then white hot. The light becomes brighter and brighter, the shining symbol burning into my retinas. It might just be my eyes playing up in the glare, but it looks to me like tendrils of the unearthly light are peeling away from his hand and focusing on Haley. At that point, it becomes so bright I have to close my eyes. When I open them again, her wounds are healed, and she's sleeping peacefully, her chest rising and falling as it should. When I open them again, her wounds are healed, and she's sleeping peacefully, her chest rising and falling as it should. Thank you, I turn to say, my muscles sagging in relief, but he's on his knees, panting and wheezing like he's having an asthma attack. I run to him, but he pushes me away, slowing his breathing and forcing himself to his feet. You can't help me, boy, he growls. That's not why you're here. You can't help me, boy, he growls. That's not why you're here. There's a sigh from behind us, and I turn to see Hayley getting to her feet. My heart soars, and I wrap her in a crushing hug. She laughs. I can't breathe, Felix. I let go, and she looks around, seeing where she is for the first time. Are we there? Are we there? She breathes, and then she sees the man. Is that him? I nod. He's about to tell us what he wants from us, I say pointedly, looking at him. And he tells us about the darkness that lies behind the gates, that it leaks into the other worlds and snuffs out the light. Is that what they were then? The monsters? I ask. They came from behind there. Is that what they were then? The monsters? Is that what they were then? The monsters? I ask. They came from behind there. Not quite, the man replies. The monsters are the victims, souls turned by the darkness's corruption. Like they're possessed? Hayley asks. The man shakes his head. No, they're not demons. They cannot control life when it is alive. This is why they kill. Why they never stop. Why they never stop. He chuckles bitterly. Why they never stop. He chuckles bitterly, and for a moment he seems somehow even older than I had thought him before. So what do you need us for? I ask, still not understanding. And why did you drag us all this way? I mean, we could have died. He doesn't react to my anger. Even though I can't see his face, I can tell he's just... He doesn't react to my anger. He doesn't react to my anger. Even though I can't see his face, I can tell he's just looking at me. Seriously, I say, and Hayley puts a hand on my arm, but I brush her off, my rage exploding at the man who has caused us all this pain. What the hell? You've taken me away from my family, you've taken Hayley from hers, you killed Ian! You could have killed us! Felix, she says quietly, but I ignore her. How could you do this to us? I cry. How? Felix! She interrupts me. Felix! She interrupts me, pointing behind me. Felix! She interrupts me, pointing behind me. Look! I turn, and I'm stunned by what I see. I turn and am stunned by what I see. Hovering in the air behind us is a shimmering patch of nothing. Hovering in the air behind us is a shimmering patch of nothing. It's very difficult to describe because it's not simply the absence of light. It's real, it's physical, and it's utterly evil. Darkness in its purest sense. We can all feel it. The three of us... We can all feel it. The three of us are all travellers, wanderers in time and space, and the void calls to us in a way that is unspeakable to anyone else. Finally you come. Finally you come, it seems to say, in silent screams dripping with malevolence. Finally you come. Finally you come, it seems to say, in silent screams dripping with malevolence. It's watching us through that patch of shadow, an eye bigger than a galaxy, staring into our souls. At last the Guardian comes to die, and our game begins anew. Tell me, Felix Aidan Lewis and Hayley Beckett Smith, who have walked the path of O as so many others have before you, do you really believe your destinies to be those of mere pawns? At last the Guardian comes to die, and our game begins anew. Tell me, Felix Aidan Lewis and Hayley Beckett Smith, who have walked the path of O as so many others have before you, do you really believe your destinies to be those of mere pawns? The voice at once both chills me and sets my blood aflame. I shake myself and turn to the old man. What is it? Hayley asks, her hand moving to her bow. My prisoner, he whispers. My prisoner, he whispers. Come now, we do not have long. My prisoner, he whispers. Come now, we do not have long. He strides forwards to the patch of shadow. Any hint of the infirmity he displayed before... He strides forward to the patch of shadow. Any hint of the infirmity he displayed before vanished in an eye blink. Quiet, you, he says calmly, and raises his hand. The dark patch bursts with light, and the voice cries out with infernal fury. The dark patch bursts with light, and the voice cries out with infernal fury. When the light fades, the patch has shrunk to a thin black crack in the air, the titanic presence behind it temporarily bound. The man gasps. That should hold it. That should hold it for a few hours. But like I said, consequences. My energy is almost spent, and when that crack opens again, I will be nothing at all. That should hold it for a few hours, but like I said, consequences. My energy is almost spent, and when that crack opens again, I will be nothing at all. You're dying, Hayley observes, and he nods. Very astute of you. Very astute of you. Very astute of you. And when I am gone, there will be no one to hold the gates closed. And without a guardian, they will pour forth. Very astute of you. And when I'm gone, there will be no one to hold the gates closed. And without a guardian, they will pour forth. As though punctuating his words, the crack spasms, and from within it come 3 bolts of shadow, arcing above us and falling to the black ground with 3 tremendous cracks. Where each bolt strikes the ground, something begins to rise. Within moments, we find ourselves surrounded in a triangle. Where each bolt strikes the ground, something begins to rise. Within moments, we find ourselves surrounded in a triangle by 3 familiar figures. Monsters. Within moments, we find ourselves surrounded in a triangle by 3 familiar figures. Monsters. I need someone to replace me, the man says. Sorry, excuse me. Right. It's the low voice. It's trapping like gas. I need someone to replace me, the man says. My task is of the utmost importance, and the position of guardian must be filled. And yet, here are two of you. The sky darkens, and the monsters burst into life. There can only be one guardian. There can only be one guardian. There can only be one guardian. Okay, right. On to the final chapter, which I think we shall finish now. I'm still not convinced about the Guardian's voice. That might be something I have to sort of workshop. Oh, sorry, I skipped a whole No, I didn't. No, sorry, I didn't skip a paragraph. It's fine. No, I need to work on his voice, I think, because I'm not 100% convinced that it's right. But hey, it's something, and I can revise it if we don't like it. But okay. I'm going to actually pause the recording and restart it so there's a clear break between chapters. Then again, it's starting to get dark, so the fireworks might start soon, so we'll see. But yeah. Chapter 11. The left monster goes for me, the other two go for Haley. I only just managed to slay one before. How can we possibly hope to defeat three? Consider this the final test, the man continues, suddenly no longer beside us, and instead watching dispassionately from the foot of the gates. Whichever of you should succeed will have shown themselves capable of taking up my mantle. Should either of you fail, then the choice of who should replace me is made for us. Just a little aside again. I had to be careful with this chapter because, so the monsters were this massive threat. Felix had a really hard time killing one, and I didn't want to fall into the trap of the inverse ninja rule. Don't know if you know that, but it's a rule in media where the more ninjas there are, the weaker they become, right? Daredevil versus Nobu, one ninja, really tough fight. Daredevil versus all the ninjas at the end of season 2, take them out all really easily. And it's I didn't want that to be a thing with the monsters, of 1v1, the monster is really hard, 3 monsters we take them out easily. No. So, have to keep them as a threat. So, I'll try and capture some of that with the voice. But yeah, inverse ninja rule, didn't want to fall into it. Let's go. Okay, onwards. I stab wildly at the creature, aiming to weaken it by landing the first strike, but it blocks my blade with a claw and bites at my face. I lean away from the attack, but to my right I can see Haley pinned to the floor by another. They were like you once, the man carries on, before the darkness reached them. The one you're struggling with was once a Tanzanian warrior, long before your time. And that one, he gestures at Haley, was a Martian architect. They all turn just the same. The beast slashes at my stomach, widening the wound its brother dealt on the grey world. I'm falling apart. I'm amazed I've lasted this long. Ignoring the pain and seeing an opening, I attempt to plunge my knife into the gap in the monster's armour I found before, but instead it blurs backwards out of my reach. I stumble forward, having already committed myself to the strike, and the beast leaps back at me, its jaws wide. An arrow takes one of its legs out from underneath it, and it trips, tumbling past me as I leap away to the right. I turn, amazed Haley's managed to escape the monsters, but she's still on the ground, holding one back with her bow as a brace. So who? Another arrow shoots over my shoulder, hitting one of the monsters attacking Hayley in the torso, and I twist to see the shooter, which is also Hayley. What? The stricken monster staggers backwards, and the Hayley on the ground lashes out at the creature while its eyes are on her double. The second Hayley rushes it as the first slips a knife into that weak point in its armour. I have to turn to fend off my own attacker, but I hear Hayley, one of them, say, "The door in your mind! Open it! It'll work this time!" When I next glance around, there's only one Hayley, locked in combat with the monster that had taken the arrow. "Guess you're not so special," Hayley taunts me. "Time travel! Piece of cake!" "You should be careful with that," the Guardian calls to us, observing passively from afar. "It is good to see you using the power that has already... It is good to see you using the power that has already... I can't speak words. "You should be careful with that," the Guardian calls to us, observing passively from afar. "It is good to see you using the power that has already passed from me into you, but crossing your own timeline like that is a terrible idea." "Well, excuse us for trying to survive," Hayley cries, darting away from her foe and spinning around with her knife. My monster hisses suddenly, and in my mind I hear a word, and I'm surprised both by the complexity of the concept and the fact that it means me. Abomination. Its fury bursts like a dam has broken, and it lunges for me, both claws sweeping round like a vice closing on my throat. I duck below the strike, the wound in my belly screaming, and I plunge my blade up into that gap in its armour. Spasms shake its body, its mouth opening in a silent howl, and as I pull my knife free... Spasms shake its body, its mouth opening in a silent howl, and as I pull my knife Spasms shake its body, its mouth opening in a silent howl, and as I pull my knife free, it judders backwards and collapses. Quick as a flash, I move on to Hayley, who I find locked together with the last monster in a desperate struggle. Her nose is broken, and blood streams from a gash in her side, but like me, she refuses to give up. It occurs to me that this one's bigger than the other two, and bulkier, with a longer abdomen that stretches behind it, almost like a twisted reflection of a horse. Ian. "Hayley!" I shout, and pull her back from the snapping, snarling creature. And we're going to take a pause for a moment. The man in the house opposite has a motorbike, and I'm sure he's a lovely man, but he does like everyone to know about it. So let's just wait for the sound of his motorbike to fade away. Okay, there we go. We will now continue. In fact, it's getting dark, so let's close the old curtains, blinds. "Hayley!" I shout, and pull her back from the snapping, snarling creature. "It's Ian!" She gasps, realizing I'm right, but it's all she can do to bring her bow up to block its claws before they reach her. She gasps, realizing I'm right, but it's all she can do to bring her bow up to block its claws before they reach her. "Ian!" I shout. "Listen to me!" But the beast simply turns and hurls itself at me. I stab upwards, but my blade bounces off its armour, and it's on me, forcing me to the ground. I stab upwards, but my blade bounces off its armour, and it's on me, forcing me... I can't say forcing me, my voice keeps breaking on forcing me. I stab upwards, but my blade bounces off its armour, and it's... I've lost my blade, where are we? Okay. I stab upwards, but my blade bounces off its armour, and it's on me, forcing me to the ground. "Your friend is dead," the Guardian says. "This is why we walk the path alone, and why I guided the three of you together. You must learn to let go. The monster that was Ian bites at me, its razor-sharp teeth closing on my shoulder, right where the lizard beast bit me back when I first met Hayley. I scream, blood spraying across the monster's face, but it doesn't let go. I pound weakly at the creature's armor with my knife, but I can't find an opening. I can't take much more of this. Let's try one more time. The monster that was Ian bites at me, its razor-sharp teeth closing on my shoulder, right where the lizard beast bit me back when I first met Hayley. I scream, blood spraying across the monster's face, but it doesn't let go. I pound weakly at the monster's armor with my knife, but I can't find an opening. I can't take much more of this. Hayley's by my side. She hesitates for a fraction of a second that feels like a lifetime, and then her knife thuds into the monster's abdomen. It howls, a terrible sound, and for a moment it sounds like the last cry of our friend. And then it lies still. It howls, a terrible sound, and for a moment it sounds like the last cry of our friend. And then it lies still. I fall to the ground, clutching my ruined shoulder, despite the agony of the wound in my belly. I'm losing a lot of blood. Hayley's kneeling beside me. "Heal him! Heal him!" she screams at the man, who's now standing right alongside her. "Heal him!" she screams at the man, who's now standing right alongside her. If I do, I'll die. If I do, I'll die, the man says quietly. And I still have much to explain. You must be trained in the way of O. You must learn what it means to be guardian. If I do, I'll die, the man says quietly. And I still have much to explain. You must be trained in the way of O. You must learn what it is. You must learn what it means to be guardian. Someone's dragging a suitcase outside. Let's let them do that. Well, while that suitcase drags, I think someone let themselves into their house. So I've been playing Sonic X Shadow Generations recently, and I've been enjoying that very much. I finished Shadow's story, and I had played the original Sonic Generations ages ago, but I'm now replaying through Sonic's story, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great game. So that's nice. That's what I've been doing. Don't know, just a little insight into my life. Okay, right. She rushes him in a burst of uncharacteristic ferocity, pinning him to the ground, her knife against his throat. His hood falls back as he hits the ground, revealing the face of a man in his 70s, his skin haggard and wrinkled, his hair white. I'm surprised at how ordinary he seems. She rushes him in a burst of uncharacteristic ferocity, pinning him to the ground, her knife against his throat. His hood falls back as he hits the ground, revealing the face of a man in his 70s, his skin haggard and haggard. His hood falls back as he hits the ground, revealing the face of a man in his 70s, his skin haggard and wrinkled, his hair white. I'm surprised at how ordinary he seems. Save him! He does not struggle. Hayley, I croak, unable to raise my head. The world is starting to darken. My chest is wet with blood, and it's starting to pool around me. I weakly move my fingers to feel it. It's warm and sticky. Hayley, I try again. Don't. Shut up, she hisses at me, moving the knife quickly enough to draw a little of the Guardian's blood. I'm saving you, Felix. He's saving you. The Guardian stares at her. His ancient eyes flick to me and then back to her. He sighs, and the exhaustion of the years is heavy on his face again. Lying here now, I feel a little of his pain. Death waits, smiling from the wings, nodding gently as we say our last lines, ready to welcome us off the stage with warmth and praise. Past Joseph suddenly channeling Shakespeare for some reason. Not quite sure what I was on about here, but hey, I'm trying to be dramatic. I think, personally now I feel it's too much, but hey, that's what it is, so I will honour Past Joseph. Lying here now, I feel a little of his pain. Death waits, smiling from the wings, nodding gently as we say our last lines, ready to welcome us off the stage with warmth and praise. One of us will go to him now. I can feel it. So be it. So be it, the man says finally. I'll heal him, and then there will be two. Typo, and I said it wrong. Okay, so here is a typo where he says, I'll heal her, which is a holdover from the earlier draft when it was Haley who gets hurt here rather than Felix. And I thought it was better if it was Felix. And I messed this bit up and it's been bothering me for years. We'll definitely fix this. It's page 74. I'll heal her, which should be him. Do your neighbours ever wonder about your explanations when you're recording? Not that I know of. So since living here, I've never been able to test whether, I've never heard people's voices through the walls, so I assume they can't hear my voices through the walls. And I certainly hope so, because I was performing Hamilton really loudly. I went to see Hamilton a couple of months ago. It was great, loved it. And I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. And I was bouncing around my house singing King George's songs at full volume and the other day, and I kind of hope that they couldn't hear that through the wall. But I don't know. I assume that they can't hear me. They've never said shut up, so that's fine. But there was one time one of my neighbours was playing drums, and I could hear those through the walls because she's in some kind of African drumming group. So I could hear the old drums going boom, 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 and I was and this was at about 11 o'clock at night, and I did WhatsApp her being can you not? And she was fine about that, and I felt really bad for saying something, but I was I have the sleepies and you are playing the bongos, yeah. But no, anyway, no, I don't think they can hear me, so I think it's fine. Okay, right. Where do we get to? So be it, the man says finally. I'll heal him, and then there will be two. But you must remember that there can only be one. Choose between yourselves. Of the thousands I called, only you two made it to the end. Only you two are fit for the task. The call will guide you from world to world. Your task is to find the darkness and purge it and seal the wounds where they entered. Let me up, and I will explain. Then I'll heal your friend. Slowly, she withdraws her knife. The man gets to his feet and walks over to the monster's corpses. Despite the pain, I turn my head to follow him. He steps over the bodies, approaching the shimmering patch of darkness, waiting in the air. More will follow through here, he says. The darkness is infinite, and this is a hole in its cage. He raises his scarred hand, allowing it to hover mere inches away from the black. It is the role of the Guardian to seal the wounds before they spread like a cancer and consume the life of each and every world. He turns to look at us. Did you ever wonder why, whichever world you visited, you were alone? Did you ever wonder why, whichever world you visited, you were alone? It's true, I'd wondered before, many times. Those were the worlds the darkness had claimed, all sentient life gone. Those were the worlds the darkness had claimed, all sentient life gone. Worlds without intelligence, without civilization, without souls. Without the Guardian to seal the wounds, to keep the gates closed, all worlds would be emptied. Plants, beasts, and ashes would be all that remain. The fire world, I managed to say. The fire world, I managed to say, and he nods grimly. They resisted, but I could not save them. Hi, Cthulin! Welcome to the stream! And yes, Wilful, that sounds non-ideal. Okay. He turns towards me, almost gliding through the dust to be my another one! Another typo! This is terrible! Can't write for toffee. Page 75. To be... And it should be by my side, but I've written to be my by side, which is just not English. Come on, past Joseph, get with the program. Ah! My pop filter went. Hang on. There we go. Righty-roo, on we go. Sailing towards the end. He turns towards me, almost gliding through the dust to be by my side. He fixes me with a gaze full of sorrow and raises his scarred hand. Closing my eyes does nothing to shield me from the light. It floods me, embraces me, utterly consumes my body. As I was in the cave when I first heard his voice, I am filled with a sense of total peace. When the light finally fades, my wounds are healed again. When the light finally fades, my wounds are healed again. Haley sighs with relief and pulls me up, wrapping me in her arms. I turn back to look at the man, but he's crumbling like dust, his skin and robes flaking away into nothing. As he fades, all that's left is a simple silver pendant, a pentagram crudely etched into it, and his voice in the air. There must always be a guardian. We sit on the ground where the Guardian last stood, the darkness hovering not far away, and we talk. One of us must take the Guardian's place, and though it's still not entirely clear to us what precisely that would involve... One of us must take the Guardian's place, and though it's still not entirely clear to us what precisely that would involve... One more time. One of us must take the Guardian's place, and though it's still not entirely clear to us what precisely that would involve, it's obvious that the one who takes up the pendant will never return home. What about the other? I ask Haley. Well, the Guardian could send us where he wanted, she reasons. So whoever takes his place could send the other home, couldn't they? I nod. That makes sense. Is that... I trail off. She looks at me expectantly. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? I finish. I'll go back. I nod. That makes sense. Is that... I trail off. She looks at me expectantly. Is that what you want? I finish. She frowns. It's what I always wanted. She frowns. It's what I always wanted, she says hesitantly. But I couldn't leave you on your own. That wouldn't be fair. It's what I always wanted. It's what I always wanted, she says hesitantly. But I couldn't leave you on your own. That wouldn't be fair. One more time. She frowns. Let's actually pause and just check we haven't got that noise coming back on the microphone. One more time. Yep, sounds good. Okay, we'll continue. Come on. Fireworks could just hold off for another half an hour, then we'll get this done. She frowns. She frowns. It's what I always wanted. I can't say always, I keep saying always. She frowns. It's what I always wanted, she says hesitantly. But I couldn't leave you on your own. That wouldn't be fair. I can't help but smile faintly at her kindness. It says a lot about her that she would even consider that. We've both been away. I can't help but smile faintly at her kindness. It says a lot about her that she would even consider that. We've both been... I can't say it. I can't help but smile faintly at her kindness. It says a lot about her that she would even consider that. We've both been away a long time, and she has a life waiting for her back home. Family. But... It's funny, I say. I always wanted to go home too. But the idea of letting you do this by yourself? I couldn't bear it. She smiles back at me, and we find ourselves looking into each other's eyes. I lean slightly closer to her. For a moment, we both see something hovering in the air between us. Something that could be. Perhaps in another life, in some alternate time. For a moment, we both see something hovering in the air between us. Something that could be. Perhaps in another life, in some alternate timeline where none of this ever happened to us. Come on, one more time. I lean slightly closer to her. For a moment, we both see something hovering in the air between us. Something that could be. Perhaps in another life, in some alternate timeline where none of this ever happened to us. In that universe. I'm not feeling it. Still not quite there. See you, Nico. Lovely to have you here. Have a good one. She smiles back at me, and we find ourselves looking into each other's eyes. I lean slightly closer to her. For a moment, we both see something hovering in the air between us. Something that could be. Perhaps in another life, in some alternate timeline where none of this ever happened to us. In that universe, where we're both just normal people living normal lives, I lean all the way, and I kiss her, and she kisses me. We hold each other, and the sun comes up, and we live our lives. We might go on a few dates, we might end up together, we might not, who knows? We'd give it a try, anyhow. Maybe we'd get married. Maybe we'd have kids. Maybe we'd grow old together, and one day we'd move on together for one last time. But that's not our story. There is no future where we end up together. Hayley deserves better. She deserves to go home, to be with her family, to live a normal life apart from this. She deserves to go home, to be with her family, to live a normal life apart from this. I've decided, right now, that I'm going to become the guardian, and I'm going to send her home. We both pull away at once. I'm doing it, we say at the same time, with equal determination. Hayley, I try to say, but she talks over me. You deserve better, Felix, she insists. You deserve to go home. You have a family, and they need to know you're alive. I shake my head. Then you can find them and tell them for me, I say. You're going home, Hayley. Let me give this to you. Damn it, Felix, she cries, getting to her feet. Stop trying to be the hero. Let me do this. Let me save you. I pull myself up after her and look her in the eye. I can't let you do that. I can't let you sacrifice yourself for me. Same here. We're practically squaring off against each other now, both furious at the other's stubbornness. I take a deep breath. We're practically squaring off against each other now, both furious at the other's stubbornness. I take a deep breath. Okay, I say, lowering my voice and sitting... Okay, I say, lowering my voice and sitting again by our packs. Let's take a minute. Calm down, and let's talk about this some more. She lets out a long breath and eventually sits beside me. Fine, she says. The Guardian said we have a... Fine, she says. The Guardian said we had a few hours before that opens. Fine, she says. The Guardian said we had a few hours before that opens again. She points to the patch of darkness. We sit in silence for a few moments, and my stomach growls. Neither of us was expecting it, and we both giggle. We sit in silence for a few moments, and my stomach growls. Neither of us was expecting it, and we both giggle. Hydrate. You just say hydrate. It's fine. There's no thing for it, but yeah. There we go. Good shout. When did we last eat? She asks. Dinner last night, I think, I say. No wonder I'm starving. Dinner last night, I think, I say. No wonder I'm starving. We both brought a few bundles of roots from the grey world with us in our packs. We both brought a few bundles of roots from the grey world with us in our packs. It's a habit we've always kept up, never knowing when we'll need to move on, and if there'll be food when we arrive. We chew on them quietly for a while, and Hayley gently takes my hand. Neither of us says anything. When we're done with our last meal, my mind's totally made up. We should drink too, I say, rummaging in my backpack for a few moments before producing my bottle. I lift it to my lips, but then I offer it to Hayley instead. There isn't much left, I say. Take what you want, and I'll have the rest. She shakes her head. That's sweet, Felix, but it's yours. I insist, I say firmly. Let me be a gentleman just this once. She laughs and takes the bottle, allowing herself a couple of quick sips. I've decided, she says suddenly. You're going home. Without you, I'd be dead right now, so it's only fair. You've saved me too, I say, shaking my head. We're never going to agree on this, are we? She laughs, and there's a missing full stop there on page 78. This last chapter is such a shambles. Good way to look for typos, by the way, reading something out loud. I did it with my thesis. Thoroughly recommend. Okay. We're never going to agree on this, are we? She laughs. Probably not, I reply sadly. So, we keep arguing until you accept I'm right. She takes another sip from the bottle and licks her lips. This tastes amazing, she says, surprised. This tastes amazing, she says, surprised. I guess I was thirsty. She hands the bottle to me, but I let it fall to the ground, the purple-tinged water spilling out. She hands the bottle to me, but I let it fall to the ground, the purple-tinged water spilling out onto the dust. She looks at me, horror spreading across her features as she realises what I've done. The berries, she says. From the river world. We were never going to agree, I reply. She stands, anger in her eyes, and takes a step towards me, but sways on her feet. Felix! Felix! That's not fair! Felix! That's not fair! Felix! Felix! That's not fair! Not quite. Felix! That's not fair! She raises a hand, and for a moment she looks like she's going to hit me. But she starts to topple instead, and I jump up to catch her, gently lowering her to the ground. Let me save you, I whisper. She shakes her head, her eyes starting to close against her will. You shouldn't be alone, she murmurs back. A tear rolls down my cheek, and I realise I'm crying. Her eyes are wet too. Neither should you. Neither should you, I tell her, but she's already asleep. I look down at her, lying peacefully in my arms, her hair matted, her face blotchy from the tears she never quite shed, and it occurs to me that she's utterly beautiful. But I already know what I have to do. I lay her down softly and get to my feet. The pendant lies waiting in the dust where the Guardian left it. I pick it up, and I can practically feel the power bound inside it. I glance at Hayley for one last time as the man she travelled with, and slip it over my head. It pulses, the world throbs, and suddenly I can feel everything, the whole of reality, pouring through my mind. I can feel the world's... It pulses, the world throbs, and suddenly I can feel everything, the whole of reality, pouring through my mind. I can feel the worlds, billions of them spinning through the void, and know every single one. I feel the darkness behind the gates, and I sense the wounds in the worlds through which it floods, black, clinging, and evil beyond comprehension. I feel the call to go to them. Again, 79. To go to them. I feel the call to go to them, seal them, and I know that's my destiny. But there is one thing I must do first. I go to Hayley and brush my hand against her cheek. Already the scar of the pentagram is emerging on my palm. Already the scar of the pentagram is emerging on my palm. She doesn't stir. Live, I whisper, kissing her forehead and reaching out with my newly opened mind. Not quite. Live. Live. Live, I whisper, kissing her forehead, and reach out with my newly opened mind, finding the bright lights of... Nearly. She doesn't stir. Live, I whisper, kissing her forehead, and reach... She doesn't stir. Live. Nearly. She doesn't stir. Live, I whisper, kissing her forehead, and reach... Come on, nearly there. Last page. Hang on, there's something outside again. Another rattling. That's another suitcase. Who's carrying suitcases? Okay, let's try again. She doesn't stir. Live, I whisper, kissing her forehead, and reach out with my newly opened mind, finding the bright light of billions of souls on one particular world. Earth. Home. I wrap the thought of Hayley in the light of that world, my palm glowing with power. And she's gone. Finally, after all this time, she's gone home. I wrap the thought of Hayley in the light of that world, my palm glowing with power. And she's gone. Finally, after all this time, she's gone home. I can afford no such luxury. I have work to do. I can afford no such luxury. I have work to do. The darkness is growing, and only I can hold back the tide. I turn to the wound in the world through which it spoke to us before, and with a burst of power, I seal it irrevocably shut. Then I open the door in my mind, and I move on to the world where the next wound waits, ready to drive back the monsters that pour forth. My name is Felix Aidan Lewis. I am the guardian, and I am alone. My name is Felix Aidan Lewis. I am the guardian, and I am alone. Then I open the door in my mind, and I move on to the world where the next wound waits, ready to drive back the monsters that pour forth. My name is Felix Aidan Lewis. I am the guardian, and I am alone. My name is Felix Aidan Lewis. I am the guardian, and I am alone. There we go. That was a few takes there for me to work from. I'm not going to record the preview thing that was at the end of a book that I never finished writing. I might still finish writing that one day, but I'm not going to do that. We'll just leave it there. But I do need to record some closing credits, which I'll just look up on Audible what they suggest as their bare minimum, because they do ask for certain things. Hang on, give me 1 second. Okay. Trying to think what to say. I mean, I'm thinking, you have been listening to Lonely Worlds by Joseph Russell. You have been listening to Lonely Worlds, written and read by Joseph Russell. I feel like I should say something else, but I'm not allowed to promote a website, necessarily. Maybe I should say production copyright? Is that a thing? Ooh, that was a bling. That was really loud because I had my volume turned up. Thanks so much for becoming a channel member, Willful Serenity. That's really kind of you. Really appreciate the support. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what to say, really. You have been listening to Lonely Worlds. Or maybe, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Lonely Worlds. Maybe, I hope you didn't hate Lonely Worlds. You have been listening to Lonely Worlds, written and read by Joseph Russell. For more, no, I don't think Amazon like it when you say for more at the end. That's the thing. I hope you've enjoyed listening to Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. Yeah. By me, Joseph Russell. Then again, I can always take a punt. I can always try it, see if Amazon will let me plug something else at the end. Well, they won't let me directly plug something else, but does it mean nothing for me to just say for more? And then again, there aren't more books at the moment anyway. There aren't more books, so I can't even. Well, there's the Bethesda Chronicles, but that's a bit naff. But I'm specifically not allowed to mention YouTube or anything like that, so I can't say subscribe to YouTube. Written and read by me, Joseph Russell. Have a nice day. Hang on. How about this? You have been listening to Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you enjoyed it. Or no, that doesn't quite land right. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry, this is not very interesting stream, me just sitting here thinking, but yes, okay, I like that. You like that. I hope you enjoyed written. Wait, you've gone with written by we, Joseph Russell. I don't consider myself plural. Written and narrated by me, Joseph Russell. I have to specifically, I can't just say written by me, Joseph Russell. I have to specifically say written and narrated by me because I have the rules. I have to credit the narrator, which is me. No, I can't think of anything else. I just feel like I want to end on something, written and narrated, or written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to end on see you again soon. But obviously you don't see me, or hear you again soon, hear me again soon. I don't know, and I don't want to trivial. Also, as hopefully an epic ending, an epic-ish. It's not a comedy ending. It's a emotional beat ending. So I don't want to undermine the emotion of the ending by saying anything that's silly. Let's just try it like that. Okay, let's try. You have been listening to Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you enjoyed it. Might try one more time. Oh, yeah! Thanks for listening. Okay, let's try one more time. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by Joseph Russell. I hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. I think that's getting there now. Thanks for that suggestion, Kathunan. I like that. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by Joseph Russell. No, hang on. One more time. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked it. Yeah, I think I should make it less plummy for that bit anyway. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by Joseph Russell. No, I forgot the me. You're right. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. I like that! I think that'll do. Let's maybe get one more take of that. So I've got two options. This has been Lonely Worlds, Written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. This has been Lonely Worlds, written and read by me, Joseph Russell. I hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. Okay, there we go. We did it. As I say, in my own time, like later or tomorrow or something, I might have to go back and re-record the first half of chapter 7 because of the darn the graphics card hum. But I have at least a take of the whole thing. We managed it. I'm really pleased. So thank you all for listening along. I hope it's been an interesting experience to see sort of the other side. It's going to take a lot of editing and things. I'll probably have to do a lot of pickups and stuff, but I won't stream those. So that's me more or less done on this particular project. When I have... Well, okay, so you won't get a release date specifically in advance because that's dependent on Amazon's processing time and everything once I upload it. I will upload it onto Patreon first, as I have been doing. I've been putting all the previews on Patreon and on the Discord. So if you're a channel member, you'll also be able to get them on Discord as like little clips you can listen to as well, to give your feedback and stuff. So it'll be early access on Patreon and on Discord. But that said, when I actually release the audiobook, I will have to take it down off Patreon and Discord to comply with Amazon's rules. So you'll get it in advance on there, but if you want to listen to it sort of for free in advance, make sure you do before I put it up on before it releases on Amazon. And I think that should take about 10 days after I finish editing it. So basically, hopefully later this month, it should come out. And then it would mean the world to me if you could buy and listen to it. You should get it at a discount if you already own the Kindle book, but that may be dependent on whether WhisperSync ends up working or not. I'm not 100% sure whether that will definitely happen, but I'm hopeful that it should come up in a way that there's a discount. But otherwise, it shouldn't be too expensive anyway because it's only a short book. I think it'll only be a couple of hours all in. But yeah, okay, cool. Right. Oh, Walter. Hello, Walter. You're just in time for the end of the stream. I am actually just about to finish. But yes, we recorded the book. It all done. Happy days. Very exciting times. So it's all good. So yeah. Thanks all for coming along on this journey. Oh, I sound like a X Factor winner. It's been such a journey. It will not be on Spotify. I don't think. No, it'll be on, because I'll be publishing it through Amazon, and if I publish it through Amazon, they have specific release things. They do a sort of exclusivity thing, so I think I get 30% of any revenue if I release it exclusively on Amazon, whereas I only get 15% if I release it non-exclusively. So that would not be ideal then, putting it on Spotify and stuff as well. So no, I think I will be just on Amazon and also iTunes, because I think they also distribute to iTunes. So Amazon and iTunes will be the two places that you can get it when it comes out. But yeah, obviously prioritizing Amazon because it's already on Kindle, so kind of it's in the same place, then it'll be on the same page. You can just get the audio version, and then you can do the cool... If I can get WhisperSync working, you should be able to do the cool thing where you can like listen along while it's in front of you, and it like highlights each word. And then if you can read and stop reading and then listen and then go back to reading again and whatever. So that should be cool. If I can get that working, I'll do my best. But yeah, that's it. So I hope you're all okay. Look after yourselves. Stay marvelous to one another. I will do more streams and more content and stuff, particularly over between now and March. I do have more time to do this sort of thing. So I'm really going to make an effort to start producing more of this freelance kind of content again, because it's an opportunity that I won't have again for a long time. So I'm going to really try and do more stuff. So keep an eye out. Watch this space and everything. Hopefully there'll be more stuff for you to enjoy. I really want to finish the new Lucian update, so I think that's going to be my main priority for the next few months, is to finish working on him. But there should be lots of other stuff too. So yeah. Oh, I was going to say a Dragon Age. Anyone interested in Dragon Age 4? I'm going to buy it and play it. Would you like me to stream it? Would you be interested in watching it if I were to do that? Or shall I just buy it and play it by myself? Either way, it's cool, but I'm desperate to play Dragon Age The Veilguard because I love the Dragon Age series. I played the first 3. Very keen to play the next one. Any thoughts quickly in the chat or anything? Walter would swing by. Nobody's desperately too worried about it either way, necessarily. Cthulhu says, yas. Yas, queen. Caitlin says, sure, why not? Okay, so, like, that's, like, a vaguely positive in the general direction of it. And Czech would love to watch me, but doesn't want to spoil herself. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah. Maybe we'll do that, maybe not. We'll see. I'll see what vibe, how the mood takes me. But yeah, okay, right. I'm off. I'm gonna go and get editing this thing. So, yes. Be good to one another. Stay marvelous. And I will see you anon. We shall see. Okay. Bye, everyone.